more I learn about this movie, the more impressed with it I am. This thing caused such a sensation in America. This is an intellectual property that started out as a book, that then boom, sold 1 million copies in circulation. Boom! Then it became a New York Broadway play, had over 300 successful performances, and then boom, from there became a Hollywood film that made 4 times its money. Do you want to know how long it took them to have that amount of success? 2.5 years. And we're going to talk about all of that. Welcome to Copper Shock, where we are horror obsessed. My name is Tasha Wheelhouse, and today we're going to talk about the history of the Bad Seed, particularly the original book, the original stage play, and the original film. Hey, I'm glad you're here. We are probably going to get into spoilers throughout this review, so if you have not seen The Bad Seed from 1956, I would strongly recommend watching it before watching this review. This thing was just lightning in a bottle. In 1954, a book called The Bad Seed was published by the author William March. William March himself was from Alabama, so the setting of The Bad Seed is presumed to be thereabouts in America, and the story is from the perspective of her mother, Christine, suspecting very nefarious things of this little perfect prim child who has natural, instinctive, murderous tendencies. It was very scandalous even, because as this intellectual property picked up more steam, it was transferred into a play that was put onto Broadway. And Wikipedia even says that Life magazine ran an extensive article about this 1 week before Curtain Up. I did actually try to find this article to reference in this video. The dates don't line up. Curtain Up for the play of The Bad Seed was on December 8th, and Life magazine didn't have an issue on December 1st. They had an issue on December 6th. You guys, it's Tasha from the future. Hold on. We have breaking information here. My husband found the Life article that talks about The Bad Seed. Now, while Wikipedia has it as a week before the Curtain Up of Broadway play, it's actually incorrect. The actual news article for Life came out on September 17th of 1956, and it was referencing the film's release that talked about the fact that the cast came from the Broadway play to the film. There you go. So the play opens and curtains go up on December 8th. Patty McCormick, she said that she remembered being in Broadway on the stage play, and she would play with her characters night over night. She would do different things with her characters' reactions and listen for the audience's responses. So the very famous scene where she goes to hug her mother, where she's got this really sweet face, and as soon as she hugs her, she kind of goes dead in her emotions and reactions. She remembers hearing people just audibly, quietly reacting to her, and she found joy in that, in her acting of being bizarre, is how she describes it. The stage play was also a massive success, where it ran for over 300 performances, especially for a new intellectual property that people had never seen on the stage before this book. And on December 14th, there is a letter from the head of the PCA to Jack L. Warner saying, "Don't you dare touch this intellectual property. You are not making this into a movie." So you're probably asking, who's this guy telling the head of Warner Brothers, Jack L. Warner, you're not allowed to make this movie? Jeffrey Sherlock, the head of the Pre-Code Administration. The PCA is committee of people from the 1920s through the mid-60s. The PCA was supposed to keep public entertainment reasonably clean. It had a lot of bizarre rules, like the police could never be displayed as a criminal. You couldn't show drugs or alcohol on screen without it expressly being for like bad people. Do you know who in Hollywood wants something more when you tell them they cannot have it? The Hollywood producer. By January 15th, Sherlock sent another set of letters, this time not to just Jack Warner, but every studio in Hollywood, saying, do not touch this film. Even before the end of January, every single studio put out a bid for the intellectual property of The Bad Seed to be made into a movie. The bid went so high that Hollywood Reporter said that Warner Brothers won the bid with $300,000, which today is pretty close to like $3.5 million for a script that has not even been written yet. That's wild. That was 1/3 of the budget that they spent making the film. So here's the funny thing. After Warner Brothers was able to get the rights to the script, they had another period of months negotiating with the PCA of what treatments they could do to the story in order to make it like PCA clean. And apparently the director, Mervyn LeRoy, had his own pitch that he gave to the PCA of like, how about we do this for the ending instead? And it became this big secret of how they were going to make this ending work, because literally almost everyone in America had a copy of the book. The play had all kinds of coverage, so it's like everyone everyone kind of already knew the ending, so what could they possibly do to like correct it? Well, if you've seen my review from last week where I talk about my reactions to this film, I do talk about the ending and a little bit about the PCA and the actual treatment it was given. Mervyn LeRoy had this be such a big secret that he wrote 3 fake endings distributed into the scripts for all of the actors, and then the actual ending was handed out to the actors in pages the day of, and then posted guards outside the studio door to make sure no one comes in to see the shocking ending. I gotta be real, you guys, the shocking ending they did was terrible. It's got the pre-code administration just like stamped all over it, to a point of, well, that made no sense. Christine, even after attempting to unalive herself, lives through it, and then the daughter is struck by lightning dead. And I'm not even making that up. I know I'm being a little glib, but that's what happens in the movie. That was the big secret ending. But you know what? It almost didn't matter, because when this film hit its premiere, it was a huge success. So Mervyn LeRoy did something rather intelligent. Mervyn LeRoy saw the original play on Broadway, and he brought most of the cast onto the film. Pretty amazing, especially because the woman who played Christine, the mother, she got a Tony Award for her performance of the bad seed on the stage. She had a major history in Hollywood, actually. She had been acting since like the silent era days of the 1920s. The Bad Seed is really where she got the most recognition. But the interesting part is The Bad Seed was her last Hollywood film. Every other acting thing she did after this point was in television. There was a lot of scandalous things about it being an adults-only film. And in fact, the Chicago police took that so seriously, they posted policemen outside of the theater doors to make sure little kids wouldn't sneak in. I looked up some of the reviews that had been posted in 1956 after this movie had come out. The one that stuck out to me is the one from the New York Times. They did not like this movie. He has bizarre quotes in there saying like Nancy Kelly's character is completely unbelievable, and she's this over-glorified stage actress, and that she's just always so mopey. And I'm like, right, because her child killed another child, and then her child killed a neighbor that she knew, and she had no one to talk to. The New York Times article also said that like Nancy Kelly's character, that she basically gets what she deserves. It's not in good taste. That article aged like milk. He also makes bizarre comparisons for Patty McCormick, the girl who plays the little cute blonde 12-year-old. He says that she's too old to be playing this part, that she may as well be stood up next to Marilyn Monroe. Clearly they're the same thing. Now I get that in the book, Rhoda is supposed to be an 8-year-old kid, and Patty McCormick by this time is like 12. I mean, also Patty McCormick was the original kid for the stage play as well, and at this point her filming The Bad Seed is like a year and a half after she was even cast for that, so she was like 9 years old when they did this stage play, so she was the right age, and she's been the character from the beginning. I thought she did an awesome job. In fact, Patty McCormick had an interview where she said she still gets fan letters about that original movie. Variety was a little bit nicer. They said that they liked it pretty well. They thought the ending was weird. This film got 4 Oscar nominations for Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Supporting Actress. There was Patty McCormick, who was one of the youngest people to ever be nominated for an Oscar at the time. Nancy Kelly, who got a Tony anyway for her stage performance and an Oscar nom for this. And then another supporting actress named Eileen Heckert, and she played one of the main characters. The 4th Oscar nomination that they did get was for cinematography. There are some really interesting shots in this film that have a nuance of light and dark, of loneliness and separation, power dynamics that are going on screen. Give you another fun fact about this film. Guess what director turned down the opportunity to direct it? Alfred Hitchcock. What? Honestly, I would have loved to have seen what he would have done with this, because the thing I like about Alfred Hitchcock is, for as much of a controlling freak as he was as a director, the man was also not afraid to go there to make someone feel very uncomfortable, which is one of my favorite things about his films. Because Alfred Hitchcock was actually known for advocating of getting the shot he wanted, even into editing, because editing, they used to have a whole bunch of film that they would use, and Hitchcock would shoot and cut so that there was no extra film for the editors to use by accident. And that's why so many of his cuts are fast, is because he was forcing the editor's hands by just simply not providing any film whatsoever for them to use. And I'm a little sad that we didn't get to see that, but I think Mervyn LeRoy did the best he could, especially because he was dancing around the PCA and pleasing those people. I'm super curious to actually read a copy of the book and the stage play right now. Comment below if you have any thoughts about The Bad Seed. Good, bad, maybe you can tell me something about the remakes that I haven't watched yet. Thank you for joining me today. I am so glad that I decided to explore this movie and talk about its history with you and get a little curious around how something this small just became a amazing thing that has lasted for well over 70 years at this point. If you like this video, please subscribe, like it, and tell me what you loved about The Bad Seed. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Bye.